Test 1 2 3 4 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. If we can please sit down and we can start. Good afternoon, distinguished participants to this, what I believe to be one of the most important drivers in Uzbek economy, which is mining. It's a privilege to welcome you today to this discussion of why Uzbekistan is one of the destinations for investors in the mining industry. I'd like to introduce our panel members. We're pleased to begin with remarks from our First Deputy Minister of Mining, Industry and Geology, Mr. Umanullah Nasreddin Hojayev. We will be followed by Eugene, First Deputy Chairman of Navoy Gold. Benoit Lemon, CEO of Nulicom Mining. Darius Leninsky, Global Product Manager at FL Schmidt. Russ Alistair, CEO of Peel & Hunt. Agop Kakramanyan from EBRD. And Emre Koyshoğlu, CEO of Esan. Mr. Nasreddin Hojayev, if we can have your opening remarks to start this session, that would be wonderful.
Good morning, and thank you very much for your introduction. We've, as you know, we spoke about this topic yesterday very thoroughly, and I guess today we'll be taking a broader perspective on the mining industry of Uzbekistan in general. You've rightly pointed out it's one of the key drivers. Big contributor to public budget, big contributor to the industrial output, the biggest probably exporter. And we believe what makes this industry very appealing and so dynamically growing is a mix of four major factors. One is very robust, and with recent law on subsoil, our legal framework is very strong and very well established. We kind of worked on this with our partners from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and new law passed last year was a big achievement. So now we continue working with EBRD on this, on operationalization of this law by developing a wide set of sub-law documentation, specific regulations that sector would be using going forward. We are very competitively positioned in terms of the overall tax burden in mining. We ran international benchmarking study recently, and based on this benchmarking study, we understand that the tax burden on mining companies in Uzbekistan is less of a burden compared to most of our peers, if not all peers. So we definitely understand that in region our tax burden is the lowest. And with the decision that His Excellency, the President of Uzbekistan, Mirziyoyev, has announced day before yesterday on special mining rights tax, our competitiveness on that front will be even stronger. We, as you well know, Uzbekistan boasts very strong natural resource base, and rankings are well known in gold, copper, uranium, as well as we hope in mineral resources. But what is interesting is that those rankings are achieved based only on about 1/3 of our territory being geologically explored. And now we are working on a program that would focus on the additional areas. We will be launching massive geological exploration program, primary geological exploration programs in those areas that were not covered before, and we expect that going forward our resource base will further widen. And last but not least, Uzbekistan has a very well established and very strong mining culture. As you all well know, and this mining culture is developing further, so it's not only represented by our very strong state-owned enterprises in gold, copper, uranium, but I'm very pleased to see that we will be hearing also from new entrants in this mining universe of Uzbekistan. So what I'm trying to say is that we're not new to mining. So mining culture exists here for many years. We have very strong, very mature, very well established, very well managed assets, internationally recognized. So with this, we obviously have a very wide pool of talent, very deep institutional knowledge of mining, which further helps us to become what we like to say a mining hub of the Central Asia. I would stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I fully agree with the Deputy Minister on the potential for Uzbekistan, and one of the drivers of that mining industry is Novoye Gold. And Eugene, if you could tell us a little bit about Novoye Gold and the recent developments.
Sure, thank you. I have a few slides to show, but I understand they're being loaded. Can someone take a look at the slides?
There you go.
There we go. So yes, of course, following what was just said by Deputy Minister, Novoye Gold Mining Company, of course, is a major player, not only in the mining sector of Uzbekistan, but also in Uzbekistan's economy. Just to give you some context, for the first time in our history, last year we produced gold exceeding 3 million ounces, 3.1 million ounces to be exact, which is a significant achievement, considering that we have increased our gold production over the last 7 years by 30%. Our resource base is huge. It's almost 150 million ounces of resources, which gives us comfortably over 50 years of remaining mine life, which is very good by all standards. Most mining companies are bragging when they have 15, 20. So we have almost double that. And our revenue, of course, we benefit from all-time record high gold prices, as well as increase in production. So we had a record revenue recorded last year of $7.4 billion US. And we had quite profitable because our EBITDA margin is also over 60%. And our EBITDA last year was $4.6 billion US. We're also proud to be one of the lowest cost gold producers globally. Last year, our all-in sustaining cost was $979 per ounce, which is second compared to our peers. The only other company that has lower is the Russian Polus. So, and we're a fully integrated company. We do exploration, we do mine construction, we operate the mines, and we even have our own refinery that's producing gold bars that have a good delivery status from LBMA. So full cycle company. All of our operations are currently in Uzbekistan, and we operate 12 large mine sites, and we have 9 processing facilities. And of course, I must mention our flagship asset, Muruntau, world-renowned Muruntau mine, which is considered to be the largest open-pit gold mine in the world. It's huge. It's 4 by 5 kilometers wide, and obviously can be seen from space. And that's where over 70% of our resource base is located. And of course, we are a big contributor to the economy of Uzbekistan. We're the largest taxpayer, one of the largest employers. We have 47,000 employees, and our contribution to the country's GDP is 6.5%. Now, of course, when we are such a large company, of course, we have to be mindful of not only being an efficient and profitable gold producer, but also a sustainable gold producer. Not only this is important for the investors, which we see more and more often as we integrate with international capital markets, but first and foremost, we have to do it for our own people. As we heard yesterday during a strategic session held by Saida Mirziyoyeva, all our investment efforts primarily have to be aimed at increasing the well-being of our people in Uzbekistan. And one of our priorities, of course, is environmental. We're setting targets for our emissions. Mining is always perceived to be one of the environmentally unfriendly industries across the world, and that's why most mining companies, including ourselves, are devoting lots of effort and attention to change that stereotype, because we can be developing sustainably and responsibly. And right now we're in the process of setting our targets, emission targets, and following those targets. We also exploring opportunities to increase our renewable energy sources. By the end of this year, our total energy consumption from renewable sources will be in excess of 20% of our total consumption. And again, of course, being a mining company, well-being and safety of our employees is of high priority to us. And for that purpose, we're developing very robust training programs. Every year we train and retrain over 15,000 employees on how to behave safely. We're implementing various digital and technological solutions to monitor that. But it's also important to spread the safety culture across our employees. And as we know, the tone is always set from the top, and everyone in our management, including the CEO, is very passionate about safety and improving our safety targets. And that's you cannot be complacent. Even one incident is one too many. So we have adopted zero tolerance position towards this. We also engage heavily with our communities because, as I said, we're one of the largest employers, and we operate sometimes in very remote areas where there are some villages and small townships, and we engage with those communities quite a lot, including the management. Like I personally travel to meet with the communities and hear their concerns and address their concerns on a regular basis as well. And I also like to share that earlier this year we obtained our first ESG rating. We were the first mining company in the country to obtain one, and it's at good level, consistent with major mining companies globally. But it also helped us to, not to just determine what we need to do, but also kind of get a a third-party independent review of how well we're doing. And of course, there are some gaps that always exist, and we're focusing on addressing those gaps. We have, a few years ago, we have implemented our sustainability report, and we publish it every year, which is perceived very, very well by the investors community. They like seeing those reports. We have increased last year our board independence by introducing 2 new independent members. We're aligning with our GMP principles and even partnering with the World Gold Council to help us to go through this action plan. And we have set up last year a dedicated ESG department that's focusing primarily on these objectives. And just a few words on, I mentioned the renewable energy. We're also targeting 36 million cubic meters of fresh water usage reduction by 2030. And we are investing quite significantly in our community sponsorship programs. For example, over the last years, we spent over $200 million for that purpose. I would also like to mention an important aspect that we were the first company in Uzbekistan to become an official supporter of international women in mining, because we do have, over 15% of our workforce are women, and of course we want to support them to develop, to grow in their careers, break the stereotypes that they can not just be accountants, but they can be professionals across all disciplines that exist in our company. Those are a few words about Navoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. 6.5% contribution to GDP. Not just talk about ESG, but active searching and fostering the sustainability goals through ratings with Sustainable Fitch. But there is another success story. Tell us about the 1 billion euro bond issuance with 5.5 times subscription.
Yes, this was quite an achievement. It was our debut bond issue last year when we issued 2 tranches of $500 million each. And it was indeed great success, especially considering that it was for the first time when we did this. And actually last year we also obtained our first credit rating, which is unique in a way that while the overall rating was in line with sovereign, BB-, our standalone rating was assigned 2 notches higher, signifying the confidence that creditors have in the company and its ability to meet its financial obligations. And indeed, last year it was great success, and I think it was success not only for the company, but for the country, because of course, being the largest company in the country, it's our obligation to pave the way for all other companies in Uzbekistan to get access to affordable international funding so they can advance their own investment projects. It's very important. And by the way, since then we also issued another bond just a couple of months ago, also in London, and it was also very successful. It was 500 million, issued at a coupon rate of 6.75%, which was even lower than the sovereign, the rate at the time of sovereign bonds. So it's again just signifies the profile of the company and the importance of the company for the economy.
Again, congratulations, Aman. That's a huge success that basically demonstrate not only belief and confidence in Navoy Gold's vision, but also that recognizes Uzbekistan as one of the mining destinations as well. Benoit, you established a partnership. If you could tell us about that journey.
Yes, hello, good day everybody. So I'm General Director of Nolinkum Mining. Nolinkum Mining is a joint venture between Orano Mining from France and Navoyuran from Uzbekistan. This company was created in December 2019, so a little bit more than 5 years ago. And at that time we were granted with 2 exploration licenses. Sorry, is it better like this? Yeah, sorry. At that time, so we were granted with 2 exploration licenses. I forgot to say we are in uranium mining. Yeah? We are mining uranium. And so within these 5 years, we did exploration, more than 200,000 meters of exploration drilling. We did a pilot in order to make sure that it was possible to produce uranium from this deposit. We signed recently an important agreement with our partner Navoyuran and with another partner who is going to join us as well. So, if we look at the situation now, the deposit of Saz Jengeldi is almost ready to take the decision. So we are going to take a decision to mine very soon, maybe in the coming weeks, months, but definitely before the end of this year. So it means that from the day we arrive on the decision to mine, it will be less than 6 years, which is actually, for people who knows what is mining investment, is not so bad. So this is the project as it is today.
Thank you, Benoit. Russ, I'm going to leave you to the last. Agop, also, I'm going to leave you to the last. And Emre, if you could tell us, you chose Uzbekistan as one of your investment destinations. If you could tell us about that journey.
Yes, actually, we have been started drilling in our operations in Jizak region, in Uchkulash project. This is a zinc and lead project which was operated as open pit in the Soviet times. And we have been also considering further opportunities for underground mining as well, because almost the open pit mining has been finished, the reserves has been finished, but we see a very good data from the drillings, so we have been trying to improve the metallurgical beneficiation of the ore, which we think that going to be also good because the technology has been improving. We are also working on the grinding solutions to improve our recoveries. But first of all, the reason that we had think that the Uzbekistan is going to be a good location to invest is because we see a really big change, especially in the legislations. In Uzbekistan, recently updated and had made a reform on their mining laws, almost like the ones in Kazakhstan back in 2018, which we believe that it's going to bring more investors, more international giant mining companies to invest in Uzbekistan. The interest is, I think, going to come very quickly, very rapidly in the interest. So we believe that Uzbekistan is also improving the standards, their standards to international levels. As we are discussing with EBRD, is also here to support them with bringing them into their international standards. Is going to really help international investors to interest in Uzbekistan, and we are really happy about what we had achieved. We had, as we were the first comer, we had some difficulties. Let me say not difficulties, but as being a first comer, we have to find out together with the mining ministry how to move forward. So they also supported us while we are moving ahead. So thanks to them, and I think what we had brought to Uzbekistan together with the mining ministry is going to support the new comers for investments.
Thank you, Emre. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of which jurisdiction, regardless of how good the project is, accessing capital in the mining industry is challenging. But at the same time, the sources of capital also, they need to have certain focus, and there's always competition between jurisdictions and projects. So when we look at the sources of capital, their focus area sometimes changes, and when you see that focus area in a certain jurisdiction, obviously that is one of the investment destinations. So following up with that, Agop, EBRD is here. Why is EBRD here?
Thank you, Han. Good afternoon, colleagues. Before answering to your question why EBRD is here, I'll probably say a few words about the bank. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is an international financial institution established in the very beginning of 90s, in 1991, to support the Eastern European countries in their transition to market economy. Since then, the bank has significantly expanded and now operates in more than 40 countries in Eastern Europe, in Central Asia, Turkey, Balkans, Middle East, North Africa, and starting from last year, Sub-Saharan Africa. We support the company's projects across all sectors of economy, and apparently in certain countries, mining, due to its importance for the economies of those countries, are very important also for us. We provide debt and equity financing, and we also work with the governments to improve the mining legislation. A very good example is our cooperation with the government of Uzbekistan, in particular with the Ministry of Geology and Mining and Geology, to improve the mining legislation, which resulted in a new subsoil use code, a very modern, very progressive, and very transparent. This is a very important step toward making the sector even more attractive for local and foreign investors. But this is the first step, and we will be continuing working with the ministry, as Mr. Deputy Minister mentioned yesterday, to operationalize that law, meaning adopting new sub-laws, and capacity building, etc., etc. This is a work for the next 6 to 12 months. So we believe in 12 months this will result in the sector being more and more attractive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agop. Ross, you have quite a bit of experience in the capital markets, in the capability. Well, what's your view on Uzbekistan?
Thanks, and it's a pleasure and privilege to be here. It's my first trip to Uzbekistan, and I'd heard a lot of good things, but it's great to be able to say that expectations have been exceeded when I've been here. And just to say, one fantastic achievement I wasn't aware of was Uzbekistan qualifying for the World Cup next year. I'm Scottish, we're not very good at football, so when we inevitably don't qualify, I know who to support next year. Maybe again, just to give some context on Peel Hunt, we are a UK independent investment bank. We act for around 150 companies that are listed on the London Stock Exchange. Fundamentally, our job is to promote those companies to a broad range of different investors. We do that through compelling research, sales desks in London, New York, Copenhagen, Abu Dhabi, and then ultimately we raise capital for those companies. So we've raised £17 billion for our clients since 2017. We've also advised them on £11 billion worth of M&A in the last couple of years. So I run the M&A team, the mining team. I've got clients that operate and produce commodities sustainably in 5 different continents, including Kazakhstan, South Africa, Mozambique, Peru, Brazil, various different emerging market economies. And when investors look at the investment opportunities, a lot of it is the prospects for the company, how they comply with sustainability metrics, but also the country itself. And I think there's a fantastic story to tell here that will resonate with investors. I think it's still a little bit under the radar, notwithstanding some of the successes we've had. One of our other clients in a different sector, TBC Bank, it obviously has large operations here and is at the conference. Our sales team have been out, and then they'll go back to London and they'll promote the country as well as the company to those investors. So I think lots of the things that we're talking about today is about opening up to international capital, international investors, and there's a trickle effect or a ripple effect as you go back to those different jurisdictions and spread the word. In terms of accessing capital itself, it very much depends on the stage of development of an individual company. There's a famous piece of analysis called the Lassonde curve in mining, which looks at the different valuations, risks, and therefore different stages in the mining development cycle. So for earlier, you will have access to risk equity and then joint ventures with selecting the finance. You'll have access to a broader range of equity investors and to a much broader range of equity investors and global capital fundamentally. But as you move through that curve, you
Private and publicly listed exploration companies in the world. Majority of Uzbekistan is. What would your message be to those different jurisdictions? Would you Uzbekistan help Uzbekistan investigate their potential? Would perhaps Uzbekistan help Uzbekistan investigate their potential? Would perhaps
we do have wide group of operating in Uzbekistan. So at the moment we portfolio of about 30 projects, an element of exploration. So it's come to this market and operate. Are operating an industry with some unknowns. So this is quite natural. In fact, new deposits and perspective where additional resource definition is required. Esan, they are busy with mostly dealing with exploration. Yes. Exploration. So exploration-wise, opportunity is there, but 30 deposits and invited to participate in those auctions, and materializes. 30, I'm talking about and the like. So this is pretty new. What I was referring to as mostly resources are still to be identified. That's where we and international explorers participate, but we still understand that this would require a lot of investment into this exploration, because this is a very, very early stage exploration. And defining our further strategy on how to, the resources going forward. We might be working together with, for example, further by defining it, and by managing explorers can join along the way.
It looks like your challenge is not additional resources and reserve already defined, but we all know one of the biggest challenges that we build, and you talked about that a bit, but I'd like you to expand that. Obviously you need excessive amount of human resources, and what lessons learned can you share with us?
Indeed, when we talk about globally, of course it's a resource. Globally, of course it's resources as well. There's a scarcity, but even to very strong competencies with the global markets, right? In order to stay competitive, we must what Navoy is doing. We, as I mentioned, in development, we teaming up with where we play a big role. Because I worked in many countries for different companies, is that we do have lots of young talent. Find that in many other countries, because let's face it, attractive to youth, especially with the rise of we see the opposite. We feel very to actively because clearly technologies, approaches, methods, partnering with many other international companies, with new technologies, processing methods, mining methods, some really strong expertise coming from the role of consultants is limited unless you have internal bench strength. Consultants. So that's where our focus is on continuing to train.
One of the other challenges in the mining industry, as we all know, established the JUMP program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. A few minutes ago, EBRD finances projects. And companies in the mining sector. Our main focus were projects that were feasibility study stage or the bank's board decided to take more risk. BRD which is called You Take More Risk. BRD, which is called Junior Mining Program. Early stage companies, juniors, preparing pre-feasibility studies, environmental studies. So this is a 100 million euro materials, but apparently any program. The idea is to invest in 20%, that's the limit, and finance the a very good example of the graphite, an investment we made last year in Kazakhstan. There's a natural graphite deposit in Kazakhstan in the world. So we provide 3.5 with the feasibility study. The minimum requirement prepared by a prominent, competent.
Thank you. Back to you. Uranium. Back to you. Uranium, something dangerous. What type of measures? Something dangerous. What type of measures do you take, particularly you? In your operations, your approach to.
Thank you for this question. Is HAC? Thank you for this question. Is HAC not only environment but also health and safety are really key for not only environment but also health and safety are really key for Orano. It's priority number one. It's really part of our DNA, and each time we start a new project in a new country, it's a real challenge, right? So if I can give you some positive, is very positive. As it was mentioned by the Vice Minister, more than 60 years ago with a strong experience. More than 60 years ago with a strong experience, so you can find people arrive a group like Orano with your full set of HAC, all these things. After 5 years, what we can say in no-linkum mining in this project, which is equivalent to 1.5 million hours without accident, which is equivalent to 1.5 million hours without accident. So I've possible, and the people in the country are really
for that. Darius, F.L. Schmidt provided studies, but we're very close to a jurisdiction in those areas. So what are the positive differentiators of F.L. extent?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. For those the largest equipment and technology of mineral processing. With experience, we can come to the market in the world right now provide our experience. And this is we work with much lower at the provide and water is probably one of the resources which are necessary for we will be able to all the mining companies to develop all the resources.
Thank you for that. First step, you're operating in Uzbekistan. Explored region is in your future business plans.
Actually, we have been considering to, but the first thing that we are willing to do is to prove that once we settle and invest willing to explore further. Also, Esan is one of the opportunities in industrial mines such as feldspar, bentonite. These are the other targets that we are planning for the future. But we have been already drilled 6,000 meters. We will complete the total project with 30,000. We will complete the total project with 30,000. Our investment, hopefully, by mid. Also underground operation. In addition to that, I also would like to ask a question. On the first day of the opening ceremony, Mirzoyev mentioned about the incentives, such as 10. We can maybe hear from the first and mining legislation will bring to have.
Are you asking what?
No,
to make sure that I
actually, President, His Excellency is going to come with the new any advantages or incentives.
We taxation-wise, and we discussed this with your company before. Ran numbers, so we both know what we're talking about.
Bring the this.
Okay, sure. Is it better now?
Yes.
So we believe we are very competitive in terms of the overall tax burden in mining. What taxation benefit was announced by of Uzbekistan was a special mining rights tax. And what I said in the beginning is that that once the mechanism for this refund is fully enacted, this will be our competitiveness in terms of taxation. But overall, other mining destinations that we compete for in terms of, it referred to, it was related to spice.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. It's In my mining background, when you look at jurisdictions, taxation is important, royalty. That is, you decide as an investor to go to a jurisdiction. It's going to be one of the top 10 copper producers. Percent of the country is being explored. Most of it is not much. I like you mentioned that Uzbekistan is not really. Is that right?
To an extent, yes.
Yeah. So, what would you suggest? Have been in Uzbekistan and see the potential. What?
I do think success stories breed debate and process that's ongoing. Opportunity to market not just an individual company, but the country as a whole. But it's not just about getting some headlines in the press and ringing. There's a long process where you will go out and see, as a company, you will have research analysts from investment banks writing, but also the jurisdiction, and educating those investors. And investors don't just deploy their capital and then forget about it and think about the company going forward, but also the geopolitical development. So an IPO or a privatization process, a country to get people up to speed with it, a country to get people up to speed with it as well. And I would say as well that if you then have, if everything goes to plan, you can see there's a success story. Do that, and it increases profile exponentially after that as well.
State-owned enterprises, basically. I talk a lot about partnership. If you could. Areas of partnership.
Thank you. Established mining industries in Uzbekistan. Capacities doubling, tripling at some. Doubling our capacity in copper next year. 2030. So now increasing its output, as Yevgeny adding uranium-wise, there are huge plans for uranium. Is working on. So what we're seeing a lot of dynamics in this dynamics. So, and those opportunities, they mostly are that are growing. Our priority, what we are looking for is investment, and what we are looking for is to generate as much value domestically, economically justified. And we're speaking about upstream and downstream. We do have very good examples in from zero, and we want to is copper. So more than of copper that Uzbekistan mines per year is in terms of in a form of copper cathode, we goods or consumed domestically. All those days, critical minerals. So that's exactly where creation to happen, right? So capital, it's important, of course, and now we know how capital of mining project cycle. But what is important to products, what is the end product that we can produce domestically, create revenues, etc. So
We have heard some observations based on my past experience. Uzbekistan is growing 6.5% 7 years. 6.5% year on year of that is mining. An area that needs a focus. Add to that, one of the biggest gold producers. Contribution to world uranium production, and newly forced to that. So, investigate that. I mean, that's the evidence is right here. Resources, you have heard from Eugene that the great deal of excitement, eager to learn, and on top of that, I think clearly you have heard partnership principle here. In mining, this will be the destination I will be spending my time. Gain some information perhaps you didn't have before. Thank you for coming.
given our work in Uzbekistan, when I go home or go back to the UK or in Europe, I'm often asked, how do you see the progress of the country? Is it really happening? We hear things are on the move. What's going on? What's my opinion? And my response is quite simple. I take these normally capital market stakeholders or enthusiasts, I take them on a short journey. And the starting point of that journey is December 2016, with President Mirziyoyev coming into office, and the very bold and ambitious reforms he quickly initiated. And what's happened since then is extraordinary, or I explain it through the lens of the changing profile, of capital and investors coming in. You saw during the latter part of that decade the acceleration of development bank capital coming into the market, and the big names investing heavily. But then you start to see the strategic and the sovereign capital coming in, organizations like Aquapower. I checked before this, they have $15 billion invested in the country within their portfolio. So it's a phenomenal figure, supporting the country's clean energy goals. Debt investors have followed hard on their heels. $12 billion worth of Uzbek debt now listed on the LSE, and I think it's over $3.5 billion in the last 6 months. Huge interest from that universe of investors. And then, of course, it's only a matter of time before the private equity style investors get engaged with the country, and you don't need to look much further than companies like Zoom or Korzinka, who have both attracted this type of equity recently. Zoom, as we all know, achieving unicorn status. Korzinka very recently securing $110 million of equity financing from international investors. Both of these companies presenting highly compelling growth profiles to global investors. So in just over 7 years, the country's profile has evolved rapidly from development of global public equity markets, and a presidential decree which is lining up a raft of privatizations over the next 18 months will change that. Now, we produced, apologies for a little bit of self-promotion, but we produced a report which has been the partnership report for the conference, and it talks about reform in action. And I think what I've just outlined is a demonstration of this country's reform in action. There's absolutely no question about it. And at the heart of that action is the National Investment Fund of Uzbekistan, UZNIF, that stands to give investors access to the country and its highly compelling investment dynamics. So, without further ado, it's time to introduce the star of today's show, Marius Dan, to take us through the background to the fund and why global investors should be watching it very closely. Marius.
Thank you, Charlie, and hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Marius Dan. I'm Chief Executive Officer for Central Asia for Templeton Global Investments, part of Franklin Templeton. We are the trustee and fund manager of the National Investment Fund of Uzbekistan. Franklin Templeton is a global asset management firm. We have $1.6 trillion under management, and as part of the private markets group, we have experience in managing this type of vehicles, national investment funds. I've been part of the team that successfully managed and transformed the National Investment Fund in Romania. As Charlie mentioned, I've also been coming here for quite a long time, since 2018, and I've been nothing short of amazed of the transformation of the country, of the reform process, and one of the testaments of that reform is the establishment of the National Investment Fund of Uzbekistan. The fund was launched earlier this year on the 1st of May. We, as Franklin Templeton, have opened an office in Tashkent in April. We've hired a local team. We've been incredibly pleased with the talent that we were able to source on the ground. We've also brought colleagues from outside of Uzbekistan, from London, move to Uzbekistan and to support the fund comprises of 18 minority stakes of 20 to 40 on three pillars. One, companies and our work individual company creating a accelerate this process alongside enterprises. We have my team as well as independent directors sitting on the boards of assessment, and I've been impressed with the quality boards, which is testament to the fact that this process has been fully independent. Governance boards, which is testament to the fact that this process has been fully independent. Governance is great, but the success of it to add more independent board members, a much quicker transformation of the state-owned companies. Investment Fund of Uzbekistan in the first half of next year. We've already started that process, even though we've been only managing the fund since first equity advisors already. We're in the process of hiring legal advisors, and then hopefully within the next 3-4 weeks, so that we can accelerate local listing and an international listing at the same time. Investment banks, but it should really pave the way. There hasn't been a large IP working on that process. We are working on our process to the banking sector, to the energy sector, infrastructure. Transport should really be a one-stop shop for institutional investors. The Navoi are two very large IPOs that will macroeconomic environment in Uzbekistan about the reform process in the country, and those are very powerful tools to really attract institutional investors in Uzbekistan. The slide that you see on screen is really meant to give you an idea of the largest companies in our portfolio. We have Uzbekistan Airways, we have the railway infrastructure company, the gas distribution and supply company, the national electricity transportation company, Uzbekistan Airports, telecom, the electricity distribution and supply in the country, Uzbek Hidroenergo, thermal power plants, and then Halkbank. In addition to Halkbank, we also have micro. The fund has been independently valued at 1.7 been done by KPMG and Deloitte. The companies are growing very fast. If you look at the airport traffic, banks are growing really fast, so that will have an impact, a positive impact. It also shows you the future IPOs, because as part of the last pillar, a calendar of listings with the government, and I've been trying to have this in the fund that I managed in Romania for 15 years. Testament to the IPO of the fund. We will continue to focus on the IPOs. Investable universe of Uzbekistan should grow very, very happy to be in Uzbekistan, and I have the honor National Investment Fund on behalf of Franklin Templeton and but this is just a brief overview of the fund.
Certainly get a lot of bankers extremely excited about the opportunities. I just want to start, Neil, with you, if I may. Development such as UZNIF and their interconnectivity with DF
Capital and private equity funds, and that they're coming soon. I think at the moment Uzbekistan is a country of gaps and opportunities. Now, in the context of UZNIF, we're working, for example, on legislative framework for venture capital and private equity. Investment law, which we presented to the president yesterday, over $1 billion in commitments every year. But it's still an economy that's converting those gaps into opportunities as well. In the electricity sector, IFIs have helped the government to rapidly increase the amount of energy that's produced here, particularly renewable energy population. But the nature of those investors is rather the UZNIF is designed to attract. So UZNIF is also packaging it as an opportunity. While Uzbekistan has been on attracting PPP and to some extent restricted perhaps on PPPs, it's been fast PPPs. It's been faster than we expected, and UZNIF, I think, builds that bridge. DFIs can provide technical assistance, capacity building, and advisory services, both at the fund level and at the underlying assets level. And we have some crossover with a list of 8 UZNIF fund with Novaya Zod. Can also act as bridge builders, connecting UZNIF and private sector partners to mobilize additional capital. Scalable and aligned with international standards. I think we're very firmly having the same page about the future of the underlying assets. So, a new class of foreign direct investor, overs between UZNIF and the DFIs. Quite how that will work out, we very much started. Thank you.
Thank you. And a background role that DFIs play in driving legislation, to enable to pave the way, so to speak. Just you're as a very long-standing and experienced banker. Transaction which has caught the attention of many. Self-recognized Uzbekistan early on and were quick to see investment opportunities versus others in Central Asia. And
good afternoon. The attractions, I think, go back to some of your entry comments at the beginning, which is that the transformation that has been going in Uzbekistan stands out across Central Asia. Demographic benefit that comes from growth. It is the transformation that's going on underneath. 2 days, the type of growth rates which investment for outside investors makes it stand out as an economy which is different from an investment perspective. The sovereign funds, the structural reforms which are under structural changes that are being put in place, the embracing the government privatization mandate changes the dynamic of the way that, and with the Oman Investment Bank, which is market region as a sort of specialist investment banking business, the funds is very much trying to get tied into the growth. And, you know, clearly on one end you've got fundamental growth in the tech economy.
very appropriate. Clearly music to their ears. We're involved in the STJ advisors were closely involved in the Hydra. I think really helped establish, put the country model. See from your perspective and that over the past few years.
Well, I think it's a very good fund and Korea fund in the funds are there is because they is updated. We were working, advising the company on that, and actually happened. The phone started to ring, and we had these fund managers. Actually happened. The phone started to ring, and we had these fund managers. Oh, I'm an existing holder of Fundle. I want to place an order to an existing holder of Fundle. I want to place an order to the company. That is a very unusual thing to was doing to enhance the value of the company, and ultimately hire Bucharest Stock Exchange that traded $10 million a day before it happened. So what that says is that on what fund managers are willing to look at if it gives them access, and that's what to me is very exciting. Access, and that's what to me is very exciting about this. I mean, we've all been here. Opportunities that are being developed in this country, and quick exposure to a very broad spectrum of that. So uncertainties that are taking place in the world today. Uncertainties that are taking place in the world today. If Uzbekistan, it seems a terrific vehicle for that.
Veronica, just coming to, and when I was researching, having a buy, saying that one of its, I think sometimes the term sustainable is maybe a little bit hacked. Is this in a world where globalization in a world where globalization is arguably, does USNIF offer a compelling alternative?
Well, and thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts panel. As you rightly mentioned, as our activities, KfW banking group is by the Republic of Germany and its states. That allows us to refinance ourselves at the best possible conditions and partners in the interest rates. So over the public and private sector investments in developed subsidiaries and business units in the bank, so we, German government and the European Union, and on the other half we European and German companies, and also by the private sector in the KfW has been supporting Uzbekistan, and its reforms have been undergone in the past year, so we look for. And USNIF is one important element of these reforms and international markets, attaining strategic oversight, but they need to be because to invest to attract long-term investment. Uzbekistan's growing population comes with seeing revenues for the state budget, and at the same time the state from subsidizing fiscal space to invest in the modern required to finance social and inclusive efficiency of the SOEs, and also modernizing the contribute to increasing the valuation of the investors as opposed to speculative investors. So it's required, so the Uzbek government, the development so they will need to be borne by the private sector, and what investments in some sectors such as infrastructure investments are at the same time being made, and this sweet spot is, so while we support from the KfW Development Bank, sector development and mobilization of the project investments and exports of German in the country. And when we look at USNIF's portfolios, because it wasn't mentioned before, but to improve the energy efficient and climate friendly way, so by which likes my perfume probably, and at the same time if Usuftaminot or other sustainable operation of the infrastructure, which is very often there are some similar, and supporting them not only to prices but also to strengthen their institutional management and USNIF's utilities and energy portfolio. KfW, the share of 54% of renewable energies by has been investing in the construction of solar and battery storage capacities, and the KfW modernization and extension of electricity transmission in the long term. So I think it's we long term. So I think it's we remain a strong supporter of the Uzbekistan and look forward also to align form part of USNIF's portfolio.
Very good. You mentioned is the development of the domestic capital markets and the importance of that, and you know, it's time to talk Turkey, Alexei. I'm going to turn to Alexei now, and I'm going to ask him and drive in.
Thank you, Charlie. That's indeed a very interesting question. Kiev VW did, and 1918 it was mostly transactional banking. Reforms and opening of Uzbekistan capital market businesses, bringing tremendous over the last few years, over 15 years, and other CIS markets. Uzbekistan is which is commendable, and learn from to attract long-term equity, debt, and international bank is one of the is through strong governance. State asset management through the national step in that direction. It's clear lines of accountability. What investors do value is a certain regulatory change erode confidence, and done so by signaling long-term policy, maintaining open dialogue with investors. Its economic reforms are communicated clearly and well in advance. The most important factors in the development of local capital markets. Buffer against external shocks. Uzbekistan should investors and facilitate and we want to see more progress. Like new capital market laws have been in the really Uzbekistan. Another offering investors currency hedging insurance would also development of here who are actively involved to do more with onshore. This process indeed will. And the last but not least, proactive engagement is channel help the globally. So in conclusion, by embracing best practices from other, transparency, policy stability, attract long-term investors and also build a reputation as a reliable. This journey is not without its challenges and sustained effort.
Very well. Be stable, consistent, no shock. Is very obvious. Of the development of the local. You feel it is that Turkish sort of capital markets is also getting this win. The upside. Can you touch on that?
It's well as I expected. Markets will the local capital work already. It was alluded to be updated. That's very true. With the Ministry of Economy, change some of the existing legislation as UZNIF over the next 3 to 4 months. Because secondly, I think into the country, because the dual list years of 10 years need to list local Hidroelectrica. This was a very worked on in Romania 2012, and from loss 1.5 billion in net. You know, we need a dual listing. It's successful. The government a local listing, which market very aggressively so that we leave earned. And in the end, we managed market, so we sold our entire stake, close to $8 billion. Retail market, because about 30 to 40,000 in Romania. When we did the hydro investors a small discount to the, it led to 100,000 people. And once you have those retail with institutional investors, they, as Neil said, a virtuous started with this. And for the local listing, in order to incent investors to participate in the IPO, institutional pricing. So I think of Navoi with constant and proactive investment in Tashkent in October, roadshows in the US, London. Again, we want to market Uzbekistan, educate investors, going to spend any time discussing about GDP structure, the revenue, about the potential of each individual company. The fund that we've managed has generated a tenfold dollars of capital back to investors, and we have nothing but support. There's a huge reform agenda, hugely for investors at the time of the IPO effort that we're going to do in the portfolio companies is really to state-owned companies that we have should become a contributor to the state budget. Infrastructure will be used to improve the life of the city across the board. It's not the case here. That's one important point. Second, support 3 to 4% of GDP from the companies, from the state-owned companies to the state budget, and ability to do a lot more.
Very good. You are roadshowing. When you're in front of them, you're going straight into the dynamics of the. There is currently no way to play the Uzbekistan equity markets. We have the market. UZNIF, we're all the international markets with some very, very big issuance, and with some very, very big issuance. And Alex, as senior EM guys, you understand to Uzbekistan about what it's got to get right with two such billions to make sure these pathfinders are successful. David, maybe you.
So, in a lot of ways, it's not in Uzbekistan stock. what what the government's plans or thoughts are on this, but because of the fact it's kind of a standalone. On the other hand, so if you are a frontier markets investor and you're buying the reform program and the the regulated utility, et cetera, to be predictable in terms of its, but very different investment propositions if you think about for each, Charlie.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Any
the assimilation effect that Eugene was talking about, that there is already in the company, with Marius across a range of us coming through the private sector before you get it coming through the SOE, and I think the second thing is and in both cases it has become critical because the lack of familiarity with engagement, talking about the macro story that is actually going on here to get people familiar.
I'm actually going to come back to well, I'm a PR man from Scotland, but I say I'm an international process. I've got comfortable with the investment dynamics of the putting this or looking hard to put this in my portfolio.
UZNIF and owning Uzbekistan, besides the exciting macro sectors, under-penetrated sectors in Uzbekistan, manner profile, given the valuation of the UZNIF production perspective, we've done everything that lying companies through our efforts. We're also keen in holder in the fund, but also to the future IPO. Continue to do that with UZNIF. We'll want to know what they own, and I think the established
rather and its citizens, and importantly, it's going to be a win for today. Thank you.
проверка. Раз, два.
Mer. 2 2 4
Тест. Assalamu alaikum.
Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to start our afternoon session after lunch. Today's the main idea is going to be on the dynamic architecture. We're talking about the main tendencies on the architectural part, and we hope that a lot of people who are present right now, they do understand what dynamic architecture, why it is important for our society. But I am an economist actually, but I need to, I try to understand it for myself. And if I give you some ideas on that, on the dynamic architecture in Uzbekistan and Central Asia in general, wrote dimensions we did have specific. That we had a structure on cinch, so this is some clay, and this was something that would actually vibrations on the during the earthquake, considered to be the very first or initial I have brought with myself several ideas. Modern dynamic architecture from the internet. Guys, would you be so kind? So the dynamic architecture has got several characteristics. This is one of the first messages directed to the This is not only creating the buildings as a place for living. And the second example, and there are some other examples, when the person some masterpieces, this is as if two angles are joining with each other, and it looks like it's standing. So I think that Mr. David Fisher, our guest, our first speaker, is architectural school. He is an owner, founder of the Dynamic Architecture Company. Speaker is Philippe Dessau. He's from Brussels University, and he's a president of CaEX. His current job is general manager of Basics. The next speaker is Mr. Vladimir Ivanov, the alumni of University of Lomonosov, the Perestroika group that gives us some Soviet advice. Today he is the head. Is Mr. Ilyos Rak, graduated then Finance Institute in 1998. Mr. Ilyos Rak graduated then Finance Institute in 1998. He is chief country executive, and you know that this union association is considered are very famous actually in Uzbekistan.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here with you today. It's my first visit until today, until this moment. So, dynamic architecture, I'm an architect. But years ago, skyscrapers, and I speak about the skyscrapers of New York City, similar to the way that we did towers in the Middle Ages, 1,000 years ago. To develop construction. I did projects around the world, from New York to London, Paris, Moscow. That you saw of a building in motion, the dynamic towers. A short video to show you the dynamic buildings.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to a new objective. It's called dynamic architecture. Life is movement. It's about keeping up with time. To the sun from rising to setting. Time is our best. Us and the world we live in. So it does with our architecture. Our buildings keep moving, changing their shape forever to better fit life. 78 floors, which can rotate separately, changing always different, allowing a different building to come along in different space. Because if your life travels through time, you need a Yes, our buildings are smart powered. Our architecture employs wind turbines to supply energy for several other buildings. Our tower also a power station producing green energy for the city around it. Even in the way it's built. This is in fact the first production facility, including all finishing, plumbing, electrical, implementation, offers high quality finishing, high quality control, time of construction as well. It offers also substantial cost savings. Green buildings. Building a rotating skyscraper. Our architecture rotates future of life. Become a visionary yourself.
These are the dynamic towers. We can have the PowerPoint. So you see the building change its either direction. Apartment, the entire floor, you just pick. So you design the building at this moment. Easier, faster, and less expensive to build a dynamic tower. Even if it's much more expensive, you know how much money we can make from the floors are exactly the same. In the US, they call it square, whatever, and they're all prefabricated. Nothing could be more simple. No. So these are dynamic towers. No. So these are dynamic towers. And we hope to do the project, one of them. So these are the first building in motion. Static of the arts to the most DNA. She was 102 years old when she ancient buildings of this country to the future of companies to do the project. So we don't offer partners. Engineers are most of them New Yorkers. The big, from Socotec to consulting companies that joined our group. The high quality because it's completely pre-assembled. Or we can faster, cost effect, efficiency, sustainability. Buildings are designed and built with no thinking about the maintenance advantages that dynamic building give to buildings in the future. We are going to start soon in a big project, maybe simultaneously also in Uzbekistan, an export credit that would support the foundation company. Is very similar to the engineering of this company, this group, so they are going to produce in Italy the floors and ship them. The transportation, so we floors going up. This is history. We are going out to bring 5 and we fix them to the central core. This is so they are going to do the logistic, lifting, and our local architects, Arcadis. Well, I think we had some more. So here you see the dynamic towers. It's okay, so that's me. So as I explained, I started as an architect till I got this crazy idea of buildings in motion. NASA representatives, you name it. I'm sorry, you put another one an hour ago. In any case, tower, but also in industrial facility, like your car, like an aircraft, completely pre-assembled. Trowel, you know the trowel? It remains the same. Buildings from now on will be done. We thought about the factory also in Uzbekistan. You are not next to the water. In addition, you have a massive development program to host 650,000 people, and maybe in the future to build an Italian industrial park that will produce, so to support the construction of the new reply. But we have a very short video to finish. There was a short video of 50 seconds.
Anyway, what do you think your main... David, what would you think that your... Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
When everybody will make a... One question comes out immediately to you, David. The next generation, or to the current population. Because we're living in Florence. Giving so many... To hear your message, what...
Well, thank you for the question. Everybody has a mission, should have a mission. It's not to make beautiful, a better home to everybody. Architecture is not a question of shape. Somebody can say they're beautiful because they're logic. This is the main message. This project gives to the young guys to think. Everything is in our head. Tell me, oh, if you maybe we can do also what we had in mind. All of you could do whatever. Just consider it. Everything is possible.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Speaker is Monsieur Philippe of dynamics architecture. If you hear us, Monsieur.
Everyone, we have these seats. I don't know if you can. Okay, so thank you. So that's a short video about, let's say, the history of B6. So as you can see, B6 is a company which is more than 100 years old. I mean, it's has a lot of history, of course, in Belgium, but also outside of Belgium. And why? Because in Belgium being a small country, I mean, quickly we had to export ourselves and went to different countries around the world. Our major iconic projects are in the Gulf. I mean, we have built, for example, in Dubai, we were the main contractor together with Samsung for what is still today the tallest building in the world, Burj Khalifa. We have done quite a lot of high-rise building also in the Emirates, but also in some other countries like in Qatar. And we are doing today, let's say, what will be the second tallest building in France, in Paris. So we would be, of course, interested to work in Uzbekistan. I mean, we know the dynamic of the country, we know the young population, we know the ambition of the the president and the government to make the country one of the innovative country in the world. We never worked there. I mean, myself, I came just for vacation 5-6 years ago to visit the country. It's a beautiful country, which has a lot of potential, of course, for tourism. In the area, we worked in Azerbaijan. I mean, we built a palace there and a high-rise building for the oil company. And of course, I mean, let's say we can be also not doing only building. I mean, we have history of power station, water treatment plant, airport, real estate in Belgium as well, and in some other countries. So we are quite, let's say, dynamic companies. We have various type of activity, and yeah, I mean, we would be, of course, interested to have different discussion with the potential of Uzbekistan.
Thank you. Monsieur Dessous? Hello? It started working.
Presentation also with some project we did. I don't know if you can launch it on the screen.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's Burj Khalifa, of course, which is, I mean, I guess many people of you knows about Dubai, and so it's the tallest building in the world until today. It was completed in 2010. So it's a mixed-use development, hotel, office, and accommodation. This project, I would say, put Dubai on the world map, and I think it's still today, let's say, the landmark of B6, but of course, the Dubai state. Next one. Yeah, so another theme park here we build in Abu Dhabi, this one. So it's a Ferrari theme park. So it's close to the airport. I mean, it's the striking red color, of course, is the color of Ferrari. And that was built for the first Formula One Grand Prix, which was held in the Emirates in Abu Dhabi. The next slide. Yeah, that's another landmark in Abu Dhabi. So it's the mosque of Sheikh Zayed, so Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi. It's plenty of marble inside, precious stone. It's a marvel of architecture. I mean, I hope most of you will have the opportunity to visit it. A stadium, so we built 2 stadiums for the last World Cup of football in Qatar. This is one of the 2. It was designed by Zaha Hadid, another famous architect also, which passed away a few years ago. Next one. That's under construction now, so it's high-rise tower again in Qatar, in Lusail. So we are building 2 of these towers. They are above 250 meters high. Next one. That's another Morocco. It's just under completion now, so it will reach 250 meters. It has reached already 250 meters. The designer, the architect was a Spanish architect. It's a mixed-use development again, so hotel, with 5-star hotel, of course, accommodation, and then office. Next one. And that's a small, let's say, summary of the company. So like I mentioned, we are number 1 in Belgium. We are 48 on the last ENR ranking on the top 250 contractors working internationally. We work for the moment in 26 countries, mainly Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And we have even 1 project in Brazil. We have more than half, a bit above 50% of our activities outside of Belgium. And let's say we are privately owned companies, so 50% is the management and 50% is the Egyptian group Orascom. So these are the countries where we are working in light blue. So you can see various countries. So Belgium, of course, is the largest activity we have, but we are also in Australia, where we do 20 to 25% of the turnover of the group. We are, of course, in some countries in Europe, but as well, of course, in the Middle East. We are back in Saudi now, where we are building another stadium, the stadium for the World Cup of 2034. Yep. This is, let's say, the various structure of the group. I mean, we are, like I mentioned, so multidisciplinary. We have also some subsidiaries, of course, doing some different activities than construction. So we do real estate, I mentioned. We have concession and assets, so we do some PPPs in some countries as well. Next one, I think. Yeah. Another topic of the company, I mean, we create a foundation, so B6 Foundation, where we do some project, let's say, to help the local communities. So we dedicate, let's say, some part of the profit of the group every year for some sustainable project, of course, but also social or educational project. The last one, yes. Yeah, so the last one did not show. I mean, it was about safety. So safety is, of course, the paramount. It should be the paramount of every contractor, and it's, of course, something we are not willing to compromise on, safety. Maybe another mention, I can mention also that I was the president of the International Confederation of Contractors. And what we try to do there, I mean, you mentioned CICA. So what we try to do with CICA is to promote fair contracting rules everywhere in the world. So sustainability, of course, as well, integrity. And let's say we would be, of course, pleased to contact the Federation of Uzbek Contractors to see if they can join CICA.
Merci, Monsieur Dissot. Since you are online, I would like to ask you one question. What is the biggest challenge, in your opinion, for Central Asia, particularly in Uzbekistan, for you as a constructor?
Yes, I mean, first, I mean, I'm sorry that I could not stay longer. I mean, I was in Tashkent Monday and Tuesday, but I had to fly back yesterday because I had a meeting here in Brussels. So sorry for that. Next time, I hope I will be able to attend the full conference. I mean, the challenge in Central Asia, I mean, we have seen it already in Azerbaijan. So it's, let's say, the quality, I would say, is not yet at the top where it should be. And I think, I mean, quality is important for everyone. I mean, not only for the people. I mean, they like to live in an environment where everything is perfect. I think that's the aim at the end. But also, let's say, if you don't build to quality from the first time, you get so many problems in the future. Quality is one of the most important things, which is still lacking. I mean, I've seen some project under construction. I think there is some room for improvement in quality. Safety, I think also there is a lot of safety measures which are already taken. But once you start to build on high rise, I mean, it's a different type of working, and safety should be really the focus of everyone on this type of project. The other one, I think, I mean, there is a young population, so I guess there will be no problem to find qualified labor in the country, so that would be fine to even to improve, let's say, the level of workmanship in the country.
Merci. I guess there will be other questions from the audience. Maybe can you stay with us for a couple of minutes as well? Thank you. Merci à vous. Наш следующий спикер, господин Иванов Владимир.
Our next speaker, Mr. Ivanov, who worked in the Mr. Ivanov, who is the managing partner from Spectrum Group of Companies. So we know that the Russian companies were always active in the region, and they already have shaped a vision in Uzbekistan. Thank you very much, Abdul, for such a detailed sharing about my biography. And actually, we've been the first developer in Russia, and one of the companies when I worked, in which I worked, was a developer from 1988 till 97.
The audience, what language do you understand better?
So I can't continue.
Loves Uzbek, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That I cannot do this. Assalamu alaikum and.
go on with Russian.
That's okay. So maybe if the audience want and feel comfortable, I will continue my speech in Russian, and the presentation will be in English. Is it okay? Just raise your hands. Okay, maybe it's major. Спасибо большое, Абдулlah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Abdullah, and and thank you very much for that you decided to have this session in the last minute. It was also made some pressure on us because I had a very hectic day today, and I've just noticed that we are going to have a session only today, and also now. And also, you did already some corrections, also some adjustments into the and you removed the perestroika, and now we have only the presentation from Spectrum Group of companies, and now I would like in Uzbekistan. Yes, there is indeed a big project for decades, which attracts many parties, and David, for example, is here to build a dynamic skyscraper, and there are many other companies around who are interested in that, and also for us it would be interesting to work within this project as well, and so I'm young, but I have other colleagues who are twice as younger than me, but considering what we know, what do you think? I asked them, what Tashkent are we going to see if it was up to you, and then selected that the main requirement should be the needs and also the willingness of the people. And of course there were many studies about the Tashkent as megacity, but it's not a giant city, but we all live in some geographic boundaries, and we have Central Asian region, and here in this forum we had, I think, prime ministers of all Central Asian countries, and all of them, all the countries have similar economic interests. The level of development is almost the same, and also they said, let's have joint efforts and let's compete less. But of course, you can never develop without any competition, and one of the types of competition is about to know how to gather talents and generate value out of this gathering. And here we have, here I would like to give an example of this city with a rather higher density of inhabitants, and of course you would always need a new medium and city, and if I'm not mistaken, the GDP of Uzbekistan last year was 115 billion USD, and it grows year, and Tashkent also increasing its share in the GDP of Uzbekistan, which is now more than 20%. And it is highly likely that considering the growth of the city, this share is going to go up as well. And also I think we call it a creative economy, where Tashkent is going to be very active in the future. And so this is how the megacity is going to look, and with the new Tashkent, the population of Tashkent is going will be 5 million people, and which is also a big city. And what do we need in big cities? Of course, first of all, the government, the business, universities, and convenient ambience. And these are the approximate generations. So here we use the recognized terminology. So here even the alpha generation is going to live. So as the construction develops, we'll see even alpha generations. So what do they need? First of all, they all love nature. And we have friends who design parks. And they do the digital modeling of parks, in which they consider every tree, every flower, every grass, and and they already know how to irrigate them, what fertilizer needs to be applied, and they even know when those trees, all the plants will be dying as well. So within that modeling, and the youth, as we found it, they love nature. And the second thing is mobility. Starting from which is, as we see, is getting more and more convenient. And now we already have a separate lines, electric buses.
Seen the new master plan city. There is a grid for because is now moving toward the polycentric transportation, because people are transports, and the second in 10 years in the coming future, when we delivery or pizza delivery on an e-bike, 10 years it will be flown in, or there will be a robotic dog delivering food to your house. And because young people love these new technologies, and who live in New Tashkent, for example, young and mobile population. So they also expect a smart infrastructure and a digital environment, and striving for conscious consumption. But beautiful architecture, it's expensive, but people don't want to pay for expensive, more appealing, more nice building. People want to pay less money and buy an apartment in a building. They're less likely to pay for the extra price of architectural solutions, which are costly. And now I have 1 minute. And also the low building density plus high quality, comfort and health is most important for, and the space as an extension of a lifestyle. In Europe, for example, we know that the concrete or should use with the use of wood should also consider to be used in the new solutions. Square meters without environment is burden, not value. So we need more green. And how we'll build it, there's a need to shift towards sustainable materials like engineered wood like CLT panels and high performance and energy effective glass and smart construction and the prefab and also the flexibility in energy management. There should be synergy between the old and the new and not competition. So the key principles are the expensive cities are not a problem if they are efficient. The key lies in our new Tashkent. More than just a city, it's a talent ecosystem. So the Tashkent is changing, building a city where people want to live, not to survive. But also I would like to add that in a spectrum we also offer a new infrastructure solutions which are smart and eco-friendly, and in Tashkent city was also part of our joint work. The president wanted it as soon as possible, so we tried our best. So thank you. Now the next speaker is Turgaev Karagach, from Chief Country Executive of a Bureau Veritas Tashkent.
So, Bureau Veritas is the worldwide company. Okay, worldwide company, and we are established in 140 countries with 90,000 engineers, and we are last 7 years established in our entity here in Uzbekistan. I'm really so impressed, and we are the solution partners of most of the project here. Actually, we have one video. First, we can start there.
It talks much more than the rest.
For 190 years, Bureau Veritas has supported and enabled its clients, helping them achieve compliance and deliver goods and services that meet technical and regulatory requirements. Throughout the decades, Bureau Veritas has always kept clients' best interests at heart in reducing risk. Today, marking 10 years' initial public offering, Bureau Veritas has reached an even more international presence and leadership positions on new markets. Capitalizing on its extensive experience in quality, health and safety, environmental protection, and social responsibility, Bureau Veritas is now moving forward to better serve society's fast-evolving aspirations. Driven by society, we acknowledge the challenges of growing urbanization, anticipating the need for safer, smarter cities for 600 million urban people by 2030. Driven by society, we comprehend the growing needs of an expanding global population, foreseeing the need for secure and reliable agricultural productions for a population of 9 billion humans by 2050. Driven by society, we understand the impact of climate change, preempting the need to ensure that 1/3 of the global population has access to cleaner energy by 2030, while supporting our clients in the efficient management or conversion of their existing assets. Driven by society, we embrace the risks associated with digitalization and the value of securing what could reach $430 billion worth of personal data by 2020. Driven by society, we work ever more closely with our clients, addressing today's crucial challenges and answering society's deep-lying aspirations. In supporting continued digitalization and the development of revolutionary materials and technologies, Bureau Veritas is proud to go beyond business expectations and impact the lives of millions in a positive way. We are Bureau Veritas, a business-to-business to society company that contributes to bringing profound change to the world we live in.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have presentation also. Just 2 minutes. Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah, for sure. So, as I said, that we have 90,000 employees all over the world, and we are providing services for the marine sector, industry sector, construction and real estate, certification, food industry, and consumer goods. In building infrastructure, we are the first largest global company testing, inspection, and certification. More than 16,000 experts and more than 5,000 clients for today. And as Veritas, I just want to focus about this iconic project, that kind of iconic projects all over the world. We are mainly a solution partner this kind of project. Soon I will show in the presentation. We are starting from the CaEX project, starting from the permitting, design, pre-construction, until end of the construction part. And we are fully supporting our partners as solution partners during the technical studies, later on study and design review part, during the construction for the site inspection, QA/QC, HSE, and the green building consultancy. And these are the experiences all over the world. Burj Khalifa, we are fully provided services for QA/QC on-site services. Dubai Creek Tower, also we implemented structural design review. 23 million luxury housing, same third-party attention review and inspection on-site services. And I want to come to Uzbekistan as well. These are the global. We have so many experiences, but we don't have a time. So, yeah. So, okay. So we started 7 years back with the industry sector for the Shurtan Gas Chemical Complex as a project management consultancy services, and Lukoil project as well. Later on GTL. In parallel, we set up our building and infrastructure department here. And we started fully project management consultant services for this Tashkent City project, Agrobank, Asaka Bank, Alako Bank, and Promstroy Bank. We are providing fully project management consultancy services. Here is the main point, to be sure that quality should be done fully, to be guaranteed in the future, to be implemented as per the approved design, approved technical design. So we are one of the key solution partners who are the guarantee, who are the following and checking on site.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next floor goes to İlyas Rahimov, who is Deputy Chairman of Sanat Kuruş Materyalları. 1 second. This company is producing $3 billion product every year. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, dear participants. Today, what we do is considered to be the driver. We have got about 10,000 companies working in this direction today. And together with that, we have got about 1,500 names of the products that we are producing. And I would like to say that products of the building construction is 100% being produced in Uzbekistan, every part of it. Previous year, $1.2 billion of projects has been done in Uzbekistan, and these days we are planning to get $2.5 billion of this project. And of course 90% of this money comes from the foreign investors. I'm not going to bombard you with the numbers, but I would like to say that in the previous years we made 10 times of the increasing of the export, and the geography of export is 60 countries for these days. Nowadays all of the investitions that we are using for these days, this is not about the amount, this is about the quality. We are focusing on the quality. We have got very nice construction companies. We have got very expertized builders and the architects, and I think that in the future, using our building materials, construction materials, we are not only going to be contributing to Uzbekistan building sphere, but to any other countries that would like to benefit from our materials. And I do hope that we are going to be cooperating with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Let me wrap up what has been said.
Demek speakerlarımız
Teacher was saying that we should exceed the limits of previous generation. That was your words. Thank you very much. And our next speaker from company Basics was trying to say that in Uzbekistan we have to pay attention to the quality, safety, and mobility of the next generation. And Mr. Volodya was saying that we have to pay attention to mobility because next generation is more mobile because alpha generation is going to live in New Tashkent, for example. And Mr. Karatak was, sorry, he was trying to say that we have to get deeply involved in what has been done, and Veritas is one of the companies which is really deeply involved in the current architecture. Tashkent city is one of the best examples of that. And the final speaker from Uzbekistan Materiala was trying to say that the companies developing, the export is growing up by 10 times for 60 countries, but they are ready to cooperate. And I'm going back to the message announced by Mr. Dussault, the improving the quality will be done with the local company. But one thing I would reiterate, when we were sitting with Mr. Fischer and speaking, he said, for us, the major question is feasibility. And for me, as an economist, is very understandable point, because feasibility explains everything. If the project is not feasible from many points of view, not only the one-up, the CaPEX or OPEX, but what is the message to the future? What you are trying to say to the future generation. I think this is the general takeaway from our today's discussions. Thank you very much to everyone.
Test 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
Raz, raz, 7 8 9 10. 5 4 3 2 1. 6 7 8 11 12. Raz, 2 3 1 2 3 4 9 10. 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 19 8 7